From UFOs to ghost and psychic powers, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now and learn the stuff they don't want you to know. Here are the facts. William Shakespeare was born in 1564, the son of a local landowner. Life in Stratford-on-Avon wasn't enough for the young man, and in his 20s he struck out for London, where he wrote some of the most influential and well-known works in the English language. His plays and poems have spread across the world. Centuries after his death in 1616, scholars still debate the nuances of Shakespeare's erudite language, his intricately constructed characters and plots. But there's another debate about Shakespeare, and it's been raging almost as long. No one disputes that this work is beautiful, but some scholars believe that William Shakespeare did not write a word of it. Here's where it gets crazy. In the 1770s, a recently retired clergyman named James Wilmot set out to study the lives of his two favorite writers, William Shakespeare and Francis Bacon. Based on Shakespeare's work, Reverend Wilmot assumed that the man must have had a sizable library, which would explain where all his classic references came from. Reverend Wilmot spent years looking for the remnants of this library in vain. There was no record of it in Shakespeare's will, nor in his hometown. By 1785, the Reverend reached the shocking conclusion: William Shakespeare did not write the plays attributed to him. Instead, Wilmot reasoned, Francis Bacon must have written these plays and poems. After all, Bacon was a learned, well-read man who had both the resources and, possibly, the time to create the work attributed to Shakespeare. Although Reverend Wilmot was one of the first people to subscribe authorship to Bacon, he wasn't the first person to question Shakespeare's authenticity. As early as 1728, a man named Captain Golding claimed that Shakespeare would have required an exceptional background to write his historical pieces, and these men were far from the last. Over the centuries, more scholars have come forward, proposing various other playwrights as the real William Shakespeare. People have nominated Christopher Marlowe, Edward de Vere, and others in place of the familiar bard. But if Shakespeare really is a pseudonym, then where's the proof? That's the problem. There's no historically accepted evidence that anyone other than Shakespeare wrote the sonnets and the plays. Yet some Shakespeare scholars also maintain there's almost no evidence that Shakespeare wrote them himself. Professors such as Dr. Trevor Roper have stated that the proof of Shakespeare's authorship actually rests on a narrow balance of evidence, and that additional research or new evidence could conceivably upset this balance. Shakespeare's parents and children were illiterate. He appears not to have possessed any copies of his work at the time of his death. Shakespeare's reputation also increased greatly over a short amount of time. Even by Wilmot's day, it had become difficult to separate the facts of Shakespeare's life from exaggerations and legends cooked up by people eager to cash in on the bard's popularity. Yet other experts such as David Martin maintain that Shakespeare is unquestionably the man responsible for the work, and that arguments against his authorship are, at best, fringe theories. This debate has continued to the present day, and aside from the questions of authorship, one other question remains. If Shakespeare really didn't write his plays, then who did? Was there, centuries ago, something they didn't want you to know?